सत्यं परं धीमहि ॐ सत्यं परं धीमहि ॐ सत्यं परं धीमहि ॐ सत्यं परं धीमहि ॐ सत्यं परं धीमहि।
We'll start again. Hey Sakhe, oh friend, Bhavan na khalu Gopika Nandana. Bhavan, you, sir, na khalu, kharekhar, na khalu, kharekhar, to Gopi ka Nandana, એટલે યશોદાનો દીકરો નથી. બધાયના અંતરાત્મામાં જે દ્રષ્ટા છે એ તું છે. In the hearts of all embodied souls, you are the indwelling witness. Antaratman pashyati ayam iti. Vikhana means Brahma. Brahma એ તારી માટે તારા અવતરણ માટે પ્રાર્થના કરેલી. Brahma had prayed that you should take birth. The story is that the gods went to Brahma and they said that because of Kans there's a lot of evil on the earth. So Brahma said, I have already arranged for Vishnu to be born in Gokul. He will come in Gokul as a cow herd. So that is the story. Brahma means the creator. Now this word Vikhana, from that we can get the word Vikhandit, divided, which is divided. So Vikhana, that which is divided into two, our attention, dividing the attention into two, Vikhandit. One which is on the outside world, one which is observing inside. The process of self-observation. Vikhandit. Khand means to dig. Khand, to dig. So when the arrow of attention goes inside, જ્યારે ધ્યાનનો કિરણ અંદર જાય છે, when the arrow of attention goes inside, it digs into the psychic nature. જીવનના good art, the mysteries of life are lying within us. So when that arrow of attention goes in, it digs up the mysteries of life. Vikhana also means prayed for. That arrow of attention is going in, prayed for, to pray for something, to see something which is our own innermost nature. Creator, Brahma is the creator. So, Vikhana, the arrow of attention goes in, we create it. It is a conscious effort. There is a conscious effort in the process of meditation. There is a conscious effort in the process of self-observation. Arthita, prayed for you. Prarthna karayanu. So we are praying for that inner God. Wish. So the gopis are saying that you are not the son of the Gopi Yashoda. You are the inner dwelling spirit in all embodied souls. To બધાયનો અંતરાત્મા છે. Vikhana, Brahma prayed for you to come on the earth. For what? What is the aim? What is the purpose of your birth? Vishwaguptaye, to come and to protect. To come and to protect. Guptaye means secret. To unfold the secrets. To unfold that which is a mystery. To show the path to people. લોકોને રસ્તો બતાવો, to protect, to be a savior, to protect. For that you have been born in Satvatam Kule, in the Kule in which there is Sattva, there is truth, there is presence in that Kule. Udevan, to be born, Udevan. Udevan also means to rise. Suryodaya, Uday, to rise. When the energy rises, you rise up somewhere. So the Gopis are saying, they are calling him as a friend. They are saying, a friend does not leave another friend in difficulty, and you have left us. We can't see you anywhere. So they are reprimanding him. મીઠો ઠપકો આપે છે. હે મિત્ર, તમે ખરેખર યશોદાના પુત્ર નથી, પરંતુ સર્વ પ્રાણીઓના અંતરને જોનારા છો. બ્રહ્મદેવ વડે પ્રાર્થના કરાયેલા તમે વિશ્વની રક્ષા કરવા માટે યાદવોના કુલમાં અવતર્યા છો. We just go through the remaining words. Vishwaguptaye Satvat Kule. Satvat is the fifth dimension of time. We live in two dimensions of time simultaneously. The fourth dimension and the fifth dimension. Now, how is time created? Mind, I, and my presence, they are in two different dimensions of time. I is in linear time. Presence is in eternal time. So they are saying that you are living in eternal time. Satvat Kule. You have come from those who are in eternal time. Three dimensions of space, three dimensions of time. Euclid invented geometry, and the whole of geometry is on a supposition that suppose there was a point. Suppose there was a point. And if the point moves, it becomes a line. This is the first dimension of space. If a point moves, it becomes a line. If the line moves, it becomes a plane. And if the plane moves, it becomes a cube. What we see with our eyes is three-dimensional space. All animals don't see three-dimensional space. Some of them see only two-dimensional space. An ant sees only one-dimensional space. But man sees three-dimensional space: length, breadth, and thickness. Now, how is time made? What makes up time? Every moment, our five senses are clicking something which we call a frame. What our relationship to the world is through the five senses. And every moment, these five senses are clicking a frame which we call as the present moment. This is a dot. This is a dot. One frame clicked by the senses. Either it is something we've heard, or something we've seen, or something altogether. The mind joins these dots. The mind joins these dots and it creates a line of time which we call the past to the future. From birth to death. This line of time is made up of so many dots. Each dot is a present moment. And this is the time in which we live. The beauty is that we are never in the present moment. We are either before it or after it. We are never in the present moment. So we live in this line of time from 0 to 70 without for a single moment experiencing the present moment. Sometimes we are involved in the present moment. When it can hold our interest, when it can excite us. But each present moment is cut by another dimension of time. Each present moment. When the dot moves, it makes a line. This is the line from birth to death. When the line moves, it makes a plane. In that plane, there will be so many lines of time. And each line of time, it is joined. Each present moment is joined. One present moment, another present moment, another present moment, another present moment. These are joined by the mind. They are not joined by the senses. They are not joined by the senses. The senses are in a jail. They can only experience this present moment and nothing else. So if our thinking is limited by the senses, limited by the sensual thinking, what we call it, then we are in the jail of the present moment. We can't go beyond that present moment. And that is the beauty of our life, that we are stuck in this jail of the present moment. Now we join, the mind joins those dots, and it says birth, death. This is my line of time. Now each line of time is cut by another line, and this is cut by eternity, which is, it can be formed of so many lines of time. This is the plane of time. So each present moment is a crossroad where you can go into two times at the same time. One is linear time and one is eternal time. Each present moment. Now, here they have used the word Satvatam, Kule, Udeva. They are saying you are not a part of this line of time. In this line of time, you are the son of the Gopi, Yashoda. You are the son of the Yashoda, Gopi, but you are not a part of this line of time. You are from the Udevan Kul, the one which has risen. You have one which has risen, that Kul, the Satvatam Kule. So that is why we say ke avtaryo che. He has come down. He came down from a higher dimension. So in each moment of time, he is coming from a higher dimension. What is the difference between present moment and now? What is the difference between present moment and now?
In the present moment,
you talked about it yesterday. We talked about it yesterday. Yeah?
In the present moment, you presence. There's a presence within that moment, whereas now you're probably not even present in that moment, which is happening.
No. Yeah, we've talked about it yesterday. We've talked about it yesterday. It's very easy. Yesterday we talked about Go Vardhan. Go Vardhan. What does it mean, Govardhan? Present moment and now. What does it mean? Govardhan means expansion of senses. The present moment is registered by the... Who takes the photograph? The five senses. Five senses. Now is registered by the feeling consciousness. The feeling consciousness. Now, in each present moment, what is the feeling conscious doing at present? It is attaching a label to the present moment. What is it attaching? Like and dislike. Because of this, it is stuck to the present moment. It is stuck to the present moment. I say I am having a bath, but I don't like to have a bath. Right. Shakespeare's drama, Father William, he tells his father tells the son that in my 100 years I've never had a bath and I was the cleanest man in the whole of Holland. What it says about right. So, I am having a bath. I like to have a bath or I don't. Then I am stuck to the present moment. But I am having a bath now. Not like or dislike. I am having a bath now. I am sitting here now. There's a feeling of now. There's a feeling of now. The feeling consciousness is separating from the sensing consciousness. There's a feeling of now. Am I coming across? So if I bring consciousness to the present moment, if I am present in the present moment, there is a presence, then each moment will give me a feeling of now which will become more and more intense. But that I should be able to break free of this. Then, now let us see.
Just in that example, what happens if the water is too hot?
The water is too hot, you get out of the water.
You dislike the water.
Yeah. You dislike though. You say, I don't like the water, I don't want to have a bath in hot water. You get out of the water. What I'm trying to say is the water is too hot now. There's a feeling of now. Right? So you can be conscious about it. What will happen with like and dislike? Let's go to the next stage. If the water is too hot, there is dislike, and I want to be free of this dislike. What is the next stage? What is the next stage?
It's when you jump out of the tub.
That is okay, you jump out of the tub, but what psychologically? If I want to be free of this dislike, what do? I don't. Right? So there can be sensual like or dislike, either comfort or discomfort, harmony or non-harmony. But if I don't complain, there is no psychological like or dislike. The minute I complain, I'm trapped. Yeah.
That means that there is a fact. If you attach a quality to that fact, it becomes a complaint or a... Because the complaint is actually the quality of the fact.
It's the quality of the fact. The water is hot, it is disharmony. So I jump out of the tub. Right? But if I complain that this fellow gave me a bad geyser and this happened, then I'm stuck to like and dislike. I want to be free of like and dislike.
It's the value that you attach to that fact. Is that what the like and dislike becomes?
Like and dislike is a feeling. So in the sensual consciousness, there is harmony and disharmony. There is pain and pleasure. But I take out the like and dislike. Then what happens? What happens? What happens? These are the present moments. What happens? What happens? One is I get a feeling of hot or cold at the sensual level, and at the feeling level I'm getting a feeling of now. Where is this now coming from? Where is this now coming from? And the next moment I may be doing something totally different, but I am doing it now. And again I am doing it now. And suddenly there is a different feeling. One is of the present moment at the sensual level, and one is at the feeling level, that there is a feeling of now which penetrates each of these moments. And that I have moved now consciously into another dimension of time. Am I? Or is it very difficult?
It's difficult.
Just sitting here, I'm sitting now. Anyway, today I want to talk about essence. Like I said, we have three sides. A real side, an acquired side, and a false side. The real side is the essence. Sattva, Satvatam, Kule, Sattva, the essence. You are not the son of Gopi, Yashoda. You are not the son of the Gopi Yashoda. You are that indwelling spirit in all souls, which is observing in all souls. We'll take self-observation tomorrow. The second part we'll take tomorrow. Right? You are of Satvatam Kule. You are not the son, so who are you? You are essence. You have come from some higher dimension. If he has come from a higher dimension, he cannot come in this line of time. It has to come from some other line of time, which is there every moment, now also. Now also, because in that now he is there. Essence, soul, jeev, the real side of us. The real side of us. The acquired side of us is our personality. The false or the imagined side of us is the false personality. Now they are talking, our journey is from here to here. Our whole life, our journey is from here to here. From the acquired side to the false side to the imaginary side. They are now talking our journey from here to here. Now, let us see what this journey is about. Then we'll come back to the board. So we divide man into two parts, his essence and his personality, a real side and an acquired side. In a child, there is no acquired side, that education has not yet begun. So all the influences which go in go to the essence, go to the soul, the jeev. Then he starts getting an acquired side, which we call as the ego, the aham, which is made around 4 years, 5 years. The child is sitting in that, it's lying in that cradle, and it cries, and the mother comes and gives it milk. And the child cries again, and the mother comes and changes the nappies. And the child then forms this inner pattern that all I have to do is cry and everybody starts running. After some time he realizes that just by crying, everybody in the house is running around, so definitely I am a king and everybody else is my subject. This is the beginning of ego. The beginning of ego. And around 4 years, 5 years, the ego is formed and the king is there, and the king then has to go to school. Only problem in school is that everybody thinks they are kings. Right? And there the problem starts. There the problem starts. So there is a real side which was born, which we don't know anything about. There's an acquired side which grows up around 4 or 5 years. Now what happens in school? What happens in school? School, somebody bullies him. Right? But if he cries or if he shows that he's crying, then it is a weakness. That he'll, in front of the other boys or girls, it will become a weakness. So now he forms another side, which is a false side, that he's crying inside, but outward he shows that he is not crying. This is the beginning of false, the imaginary side. And then the imaginary side takes over. The side which was born, the real side which wanted to grow in this world, does not grow throughout our lives. It is this imaginary side which grows.
In the child, is there any way at the age of 4 or 5 that you can guide them so that they don't acquire that faults very quickly?
Now when we study essence, we will see that essence needs a medium for experiences. And that medium is the personality. So every child has to have a real side and an acquired side. Life comes in through this film of the acquired side. But with the making of the acquired side comes this imaginary side. So in the acquired side I become an engineer. But in the imaginary side I am the best engineer in the world. In the acquired side I have a son, but in the imaginary side my son is the best son in the world. You get what I'm trying to say? So both of these come together. We can't separate it. It is then he has to do a return journey. He has to go back to the essence. And that only comes with consciousness. When he becomes conscious, and second thing, somebody has to show him the way to go back.
So he basically has got to experience and go through.
Life, the soul wants experiences, and it wants experiences through the personality. Right? But the personality takes those experiences and gives them to the false personality. The soul remains nothing, it doesn't grow throughout life. So essence grows. There are two kinds of educations. One is education for the personality, and one is education for the essence. And this is what we are trying to do. Education for the essence. When the essence grows, it grows at the cost of the personality. The essence grows at the cost of the personality. And this is very, very important. Right? So first a child is born. He does not have an acquired side. He has an acquired side. He plays a role in life. He acquires clothes. He becomes a professional, or he takes a business, or he does something in life. That is his role in life, his personality in life. Then he starts imagining how good he is, how others should imagine he is. That is his imaginary side. Now, the essence will only grow, the experience comes in. The essence will only grow if the personality feeds it at the cost of its own growth to the essence. We'll come to that. In all of us, the personality is active, the essence is passive. It is not doing anything. So our whole life is dominated by our personality. My teacher used to say we have an inner man and an outer man. And he says the inner man should become primary, but just now the outer man is primary. The inner man has to follow the passions of the outer man. If the senses want something, then the inner man has to follow. It can't do anything. Right? If we want to indulge in something, then the inner man has to follow. The outer man controls the inner man completely. Now, as we progress on the path, a point will come where the inner man will control the outer man. Now, where do we take food from? An experience comes from life, right? Any small experience we can take. This morning, say I was sitting on Facebook, right? And it came, today there are 6 people's birthday. So, I say, okay, I'll wish them all happy birthday. Then the monkey starts chattering. And the monkey loves to make accounts. So I wish one person, then I wish I'm wishing the second. But he did not wish me on my birthday. Should I wish him or not wish him? Now, you see this. Now, who is going to eat this food over here? Am I going to give it to the essence or am I going to give it to the personality? If the personality takes it, then false personality will become powerful. Right? Arrogance will come in. I am not going to wish him on his birthday. Why should I wish him? My ego will become powerful. He never wished me on my birthday. Right? And if I want to dissolve the ego, then I surrender a little. And in that surrendering, the essence feeds on personality. At the cost of the personality, I wish him, and there is an inner release. There is an inner release. There is a release of energy. Energies which are blocked, they start moving. And I feel a different kind of upliftment when the food goes to the essence. Can you understand? This is just a small example, very, very small example. But every moment in our life we are faced by this, whether we want to give it to the essence or give it to the personality. These are two sides of us. And both the sides are in different dimensions of time. The essence grows vertically, the personality grows horizontally, in linear time. So what we are trying to do is share something which teaches us to reverse this state of offense. One thing we must make clear, we cannot change essence by changing our lives. Okay, so people come and they say, we want to practice spirituality, but after 5-10 years, after we've earned so much money. It's how you earn the money is spirituality. It has nothing to do with whether you earn money or you don't earn money, whether you are healthy or not healthy. It has nothing to do with all that. So by changing our lives, nothing is going to change. Oh, well, I'll get a good job, then I'll get more time to practice. Nothing to do with that. Living somewhere else, oh, I'll go by the sea and live and I'll meditate on the waves. There's nothing to do with that. Of course, I live by the sea and meditate on the waves. By going to an ashram, going to the Himalayas, wearing a particular set of clothes, all that is connected with personality and false personality. It has nothing to do with the growth of the essence. It is to do the same thing differently. With one arrow of attention inside. What is the reaction inside? I'm doing this. If I'm wearing a different kind of clothes and I'm watching who's looking at me in those different kind of clothes, it's all going to false personality. There were experiments where people used to change their clothes. They wear orange clothes, or it was to cut off the false personality. At a certain moment, I can cut off everything that is false by just wearing a different set of clothes. But that didn't last. After some time, those clothes make a false personality of themselves. It doesn't make any difference. What is important is whether something changes within us, not outside. Not outside. Maybe even the next door neighbor does not know that something has changed within us. That secret it can be. Nobody has to know. Nobody has to praise it. Nobody has to appreciate it. Nobody has to compliment it. The way we speak, the way we live, the way we feel, the way we think, the way we act. All this has to be observed by an inner arrow of attention over a long period of time, without any judgment. Not that this is good or this is bad. The minute we attach a tag to it, we have come to linear time. We are not observing. We judged it. Just observing it. Just the process of observing. So, ordinary life, the precepts of ordinary life, that we must achieve something, we must earn money, it's good for a rich personality, but it cannot lead to any growth of the essence. So life gives us the food. It is whether the essence takes that food or the personality takes that food. Now essence comes from the planets. It has a high origin. Personality is on the earth. So it is much higher than personality. And if it does not get food, it ceases to grow. Around 4 years, it ceases to grow. And it's very, sometimes when you go to people's homes and you see old people, nothing has changed. Just the body is old, otherwise it's a young child again. The young child was born, the young child dies. Nothing has changed. With all that we achieve in our life, nothing has changed. Essence has nothing to do with DNA, with our ancestry. My father may have been a big meditator, does not make me anything. So what my father was, what my ancestors were, and to identify with that and to feel a joy in that, it has nothing to do with it. It's all a part of false personality. So personality has to take the food of life and give it to essence, and for this we have to change something inside, because the habit is to give it to the false. Then something changes within us. My Guru used to call this structure of acceptance. Guruji called it as level of being. Our being changes. There are two paths in life, the path of knowledge and the path of being. And both of these must go together. My Guru always used to tell me that never let knowledge go too far away from being. Keep a 2-year gap, but don't let a 3-year gap come in. So whatever knowledge you are acquiring, he used to tell me, see that within 2 years you are able to live that knowledge. Otherwise, knowledge will move too far ahead and your level of being will be down. You get what I'm saying? A scientist has a lot of knowledge. But when he comes home and he gets angry on his wife, the level of being is still the same. Nothing has changed. The irritations are the same. The complaining is the same. Nothing has changed in the being. There must be a transformation of being. And we keep on accumulating knowledge. And nothing changes inside of us. It is the same animal which has taken a human form from evolution. The same likes and dislikes, the same hates, the same revenge, the same envy. Nothing changes. It is the whole process of sadhana is to change the being. The being is like a ladder. We keep rising on the level of being. Yoga chitta vritti nirod tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthana. Patanjali says. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthana. Yoga is the stopping of the mind, chitta vritti nirod. Then the inner seer is in its own place, in its own avastha. And Patanjali says there are different avasthas. And in the last sutra, he says, in the first one, second one he says, Swarupe avastha. In the last sutra he says, Swarupe pratishtha. He has climbed the ladder. He has reached the top of the ladder. Swarupe pratishtha. So in this, the gopis are saying, Satvat Kule Udevan. The energies are rising. Each moment, do the energies rise or do they fall? If I have leaked out the energies, if my attention has been seduced by life, if my attention has been hypnotized by life, then the energies are bound to flow out, however much I enjoy the movie. But if I have been seduced by it, energies have flown out, then it is not Udeva, I have fallen. Now each has its,
How does your personality affect your ability to move either to a false personality or to move back to the essence?
Your personal what? What do you mean?
Your personality. We experience your personality, as I understand it, is formed through your experiences.
So I am something that seeks birth. What is seeking birth is the essence, right? Now, once it is born, it has to acquire something through which the influences of life come in. So it acquires a skill, right? It plays its role in life. So in my personalities, somebody may be a doctor, somebody may be an engineer. That is their personality. Now the influences of life come in through the personality. Right? It is this skill which takes in all the influences of life, the experiences of life. Now whom does the personality give it to? Supposing you are an engineer, right, or you are a doctor, or a lawyer, whatever, and somebody comes and tells you that you didn't argue this properly. So you feel hurt inside. You feel hurt inside. Now, supposing you justify yourself that maybe this time I didn't do it properly, but you can check by other cases I have done it so well, right? Then who has become powerful? Has the false personality become powerful or the essence has become powerful? False personality. You have an imagination, a picture about you as a lawyer, and that picture nobody should break. Nobody should throw a stone at. Now essence if I am free of that picture, then the food goes to the essence. You get it? So every moment in life, this choice is there with me, whether to give it to the essence or to give it to the false personality. And we always give it to the false, the imaginary. I imagine that I am so good. And I have all these different, a big library of pictures of how good I am. So, now if the essence does not change, what will happen? What will happen? If the essence does not change, and if in this moment it changes, what will happen? Supposing I die tomorrow and nothing has changed, then that essence will attract the same recurrence. It will just recur, nothing will change. It will seek another body and do the same thing again. In same thing, don't take the events of life. Same things, the same inner, it's going to repeat everything the same, like we repeat everything the same every day. The same irritation I felt yesterday, I feel today. And the one I'm going to feel tomorrow. And the same complaining I did yesterday, I'm going to do tomorrow. The essence recurs, keeps on recurring. Now today, if I freed myself from one instance of complaining, tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow will be different. Whatever the event of life. Whatever the event of life. I may not complain again. Everything has changed. Then the essence is not recurring. It goes into another line of time. Something has changed in the essence. It has risen. And now it moves in another line of time. See, we are moving in this line of time, right? Just we take one thing. What is holding me to this line of time? It is because I complain about everything in life. The weather, this, that. That is what is holding me to this line of time. That is my essence. It's recurring every day. And it will recur life to life. It will keep on recurring because nothing changes. At this point, I don't complain. I make a sincere effort. And it has to be made with a certain aim, which we'll come to. It has to be made with a certain aim. then I rise from this line of time, because I'm not going to recur tomorrow. Tomorrow has changed. Tomorrow has changed because I changed something today. And I move into another line of time. My destiny has changed. Right? If a big accident was about to happen over here, I'm not going to now move towards that accident. Something has changed. So, essence is in this line of time, this rising line of time.
Is the effort at that point to stop complaining, or is the effort to rid myself of either liking or disliking, so that I can move up instead of laterally?
It's both the same, no?
Is it the same?
Now, how will I make the effort? First of all, what will I have to do to make the effort? Supposing the complaining has come to here, what do I have to do? I'm on the verge of complaining to you. You did not come on time. Right? Okay, now what do I do?
Pause.
First will be pause. I'll have to pause. I'll stop over there. Right? So, at least one step in the journey, I have not posted the letter. I wrote the letter, but I have not posted the letter. The food has remained half cooked. Okay? Now, I'm still complaining inside. I'm still complaining inside. But this very thing which I have done, what has it brought in? This very act, this effort which I have done, what has it brought in?
Consciousness.
To pause, I became conscious. There was a conscious effort. Tatra sthito yatna abhyas. There was a conscious effort. Now, in that present moment, there is a sudden coming in of consciousness, and consciousness comes from somewhere else, right? And in that consciousness, I stopped throwing it out. So there was non-expression, even though there is expression inside. Now, how long can I hold that consciousness? Initially, I won't be able to hold it. I may stop for a moment, and after 2-3 seconds, give it out on it. But at least that initial effort I have made. Slowly I come to a point where I don't express it out any more. That much control I have. I don't express it out any more. So I'm holding consciousness for longer levels of time. That consciousness which has come from moment to moment, I'm holding that consciousness in linear time. This is called as dharana. Now, in that moment, if there is consciousness, there are two things. One is this inner urge to throw it onto you or to give it out to you, the complaining. And the second is this one which is trying to watch that complaint, to see that complaining, and that is the consciousness. There are two things. And there will be a tug of war between these two things. And that will go on. Sometimes this will win, sometimes that will win. Now, even here, there has to be a very relaxed effort. There cannot be a, effort with tension, because again, then I'll get, the consciousness will go away. To hold the consciousness requires a certain inner relaxation, an inner state. There was this great Chinese teacher, his name was Le Teju. And one day he went fishing. So he took a hook and he put a worm on the hook and he threw it into the water. And a fish came to eat the worm. So immediately he pulled it out. The fish ate the worm and went away. So he said, too fast. Then he again put a worm on the hook and again put it in the water. And after some time a fish came and he said, now let's wait. The fish aram se ate the worm and went away. So he said, too slow. Third time he threw in this thing. Then the fish pulled a little and he pulled only that much that the fish was pulling. Then the fish pulled a little and he pulled only that much which the fish was pulling. Not too long, not too short. And at one point the fish got caught in the hook. He came to his disciples that day. He said, today I have learned a big lesson of life. When anger is pulling you, irritation is pulling you, when you want to give it out to somebody, when jealousy is burning you from inside, right? We have to work with it in a very, very subtle way. We can't, if we work too hard, we'll suppress it. And if we work too less, I'm going to throw it out. It has to be done in a very subtle way. But the beautiful thing is that there has been an introduction of consciousness. Patanjali has written some beautiful sutras on this. If in the next few days I get time, I'll just take those sutras. They're beautiful sutras where he explain this whole process of holding attention in the present moment, holding the pause, bringing in consciousness. So there's a will of essence and the will of personality. And if we are able to hold whose will as one? The will of essence. Otherwise the will of personality, I throw it out, the false personality becomes powerful. Essence is eternal. Personality is temporal. It is in the fourth dimension of time. Essence is in the fifth dimension of time. Personality is in linear time. Essence is in eternal time. This cannot be grasped by our sensual mind. If our thinking is only sensual, it is very difficult to grasp. We must have a different kind of thinking, psychological thinking. Somebody says there's God, you'll say that there's no God, I can't see Him with my five senses, I can't experience Him with my five senses. But to feel there is a God, you need a different kind of thinking. It's not just sensual thinking. Problem is people don't want to change. Nobody wants to work on themselves. They want everything free of charge. If I can go to a temple and give some prasad and get it free of charge. Or go and sing some song and get it free of charge. Nobody wants to work on themselves. I go sometimes and the gurus who put their hand on and they say this has happened, and I'm wondering if my guru made us work so hard and if it can come free of charge. Now we'll come to another part of it. Why did I do it? Why did I do it? Why did you not complain? Why did you not complain? The aim is very, very important. Did I do it because somebody had promised me some ice cream if I don't complain? Then it's gone. Then it's gone. So if I do anything for some reward, then who eats it up? False person. Even if it is spiritual. Even if it is spiritual. The minute I do it for a reward, it goes to the, I have encashed it. It goes to the false personality. Have I done it for appearance's sake? That I look good if I don't complain. What a good guy am I. Little Jack Horner sat in a corner, eating his Christmas pie, put in his thumb and pulled out a plum and said, what a good boy. Don't complain. I don't complain. Do I do it because of some convention that I've been taught that you should not do this? Do I do it for some merit? Do I do it for some self-interest that maybe I'll be able to take some money from him? Then this has nothing to do with sadhana. It has nothing to do with change of essence. I may not complain, but it's all eaten up by the false personality. It needs another quality of effort, a different quality of effort. It needs a different emotion to do this. I value my freedom, inner freedom. That is why I'm doing it, not for anything else. The aim behind doing everything is very, very important. My guru used to keep on telling us, what is your motive for doing it? What is your motive for doing it? Keep your motive in front of you. For a long time, I never understood what he was saying. Motive all the time, but I never understood what he was saying. So, there is a life aim and there is a sadhana aim. Right? It can be doing the same thing. I'm working with my anger, but there is a life aim or there is a sadhana aim. So I see something in myself that I feel requires to be changed. I may be very aggressive, so whenever I say something to someone, I don't mean it, but that person feels hurt. Automatically, I don't mean it inside. So it could mean I'm very curt, I hurt other people, and it may be coming from some deep down pattern that I'm better than everybody else. Right? And this happens. I want to change this. Do I want to change it because it gives me a bad image? Do I want to change it because it gives me a bad reputation? Do I want to change it because I'm losing friends? For my general appearances? Then it has nothing to do with changing of essence. The motive has to be very clear when we are working with essence. In sadhana, the motive is very clear. Then the aim is not in my sadhana, the aim is in life. I'm doing it for life purposes. And there are many classes where they teach you personality development and to get rid of anger and get rid of this and get rid of that. But nothing changes inside. The essence does not change. So changing for something for the sake of something outside cannot change anything inside. The aim has to be clear. So externally I may have a very pleasing personality. I may appear to people to be very religious and pious and never speak a lie. And internally I may be very obstinate about it. Full of prejudices and attitudes. And outside I may be very caring, but inside I may think people are all rubbish or whatever. The real feeling comes when there's some discontent. There has to be discontent. We call this as divine discontent. When the arrow of attention goes in, then am I this person that I'm seeing inside? Till now, I always told this to the other person. You're a liar, you're a cheat, you're this, you're that. But am I that person? And there must be distress. I must feel upset about it. Am I really this person? Only if that distress comes has the arrow of attention gone in. Otherwise, I'm very comfortable in my normal life. Nothing changes. This divine discontent must come. So, are we distressed by what we see inside, our thoughts, our feelings, our outer behavior? If we are not distressed, if we've come to terms with what we are thinking inside, then nothing will change. That is why we had to write this down in a notebook over a period of 3 months. 10, 12 times in a day, the alarm would ring. Write down where your thought was. Where the thought was. Authentically. And after 3 months, when we saw the notebook, oh, I'm thinking about money so much? Am I thinking about greed so much? Am I thinking about sex so much? Is that me? There's distress inside. There's discontent inside. A growth in essence is not something which is temporary. It is something which is permanent. Death does not affect it. Growth in essence. But everything that is grown in personality, I may have the best of personalities, but that will go with death. And the essence seeks perfection, and because of that it recurs and recurs again till it becomes perfect. Like we said in the beginning, through these Gopi Geets we are seeking perfection in love. The essence is seeking perfection. Yeah.
When you become distressed about what you do, is that where it is, or is there something beyond that?
That is the beginning. That is the beginning. That is the beginning. That is what Arjun went through. When he said, I have to kill this person, I have to kill this, and he was looking within. He was looking within, I have to kill Bhishma, but I thought Bhishma was the most, pure person ever. And to see that one pratigya was the cause of all the lives of all these people, that was the basic cause. The cause of the cause, the pitama, the cause of the cause. To see that, and to see that inside, that for so many lifetimes this ego has been doing, he is the cause of everything, and I've always been giving him ornaments, giving him garlands, and suddenly he feels distressed. He falls into Vishad. That is, it's a very beautiful chapter, Arjun Vishad Yoga. But he turns that Vishad into Yoga. In our lives, many times Vishad comes. Somebody close dies, Vishad comes. We get some loss in business, Vishad comes. But we don't turn it into Yoga. We go into depression and then forget about it.
So you will tell us what's the next step. From distress, you will tell us.
I'm giving you step by step. Everything I'm giving you step. All that I worked in the last, I met my Guru in 1988, so all that I worked in the last 26 years, which the work goes on, it's a continuous process. I'm just sharing that with you. And I have to also be careful that it doesn't go into the false personality. Because these things are kept secret. The minute somebody praises it, it's gone. And that is why we never talk about what we are doing. Because the minute we give it out, somebody praises it, somebody, criticizes it, we feel hurt, and then it goes into the false personality. The very motive changes there. That is why we have to, it's very, very precious, very vulnerable in the beginning. Till we reach a state where we are free of that, then we can share it with others. Till then we have to be very, very careful about what we talk. Right? The minute I tell you, okay, yesterday my son said this to me and I did not complain, gone, it's finished. I did not get angry on him, it's gone. The false has eaten it up. So to seek perfection without ambition, without praise, without anyone's appreciation. Matthew, if thou wouldest be perfect, go sell that thou hast and give it to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. Come, follow me. He's put Christ's words. If you're seeking perfection, go sell everything you have, not your possessions. We think we have to sell our possessions. But we have to sell our self-love and all that it holds. Our pride and vanity and jealousy, just get rid of it, sell it. And give it to the poor, that which in us, which is poor, the humble, the essence. It hasn't got anything as yet. Give it to the poor. And thou shalt have a great treasure. You have a great treasure. Come follow me. Doesn't mean you go leave everything and follow Christ. Doesn't mean He's showing a light. Follow this path. You walk on this path. A disciple walks on the path of the Guru. The drunk guy, he catches the lamppost. And the one who walks on the path, he uses the light to follow the path. So Christ is saying, come follow me. But He's not saying, leave everything and come follow me. So, we'll just recap. Essence comes from a higher place. It is an avtaran. It is an avtaran. Satvatam, Kule, Udevan. It is an avtaran. It gets encased in a body of flesh and bones. To ascend, man must leave his false personality, all his jealousy, his self-love, and return to essence. He can go back to the mystery of his origin, where he came from. He can rise to that. This is called the return journey. The return journey. In the Bible, we have the story of the prodigal son. A prodigal means extravagant, wasteful. We'll change the story a little. We'll change the story a little. The usual story is that a rich man had 2 sons, and the youngest son wanted his part of the fortune, and then he went out into the world and he lost everything. He spent it on prostitutes and gambling and etc., etc. Right? And then he starts looking after pigs in somebody's farm, and then one day he realizes, my father's servants are better off than me, might as well go back. And he goes back and his father receives him. We'll change the story a little. We'll say he did go out into the world, and the beauty is that this word prodigal doesn't seem to be in the story, because it's not in the whole story. The word prodigal doesn't come. It's been added on. So we have a right to change the story a little. So we'll say he did go out into the world, but he became very successful. He didn't lose all his money. He became very, very successful. He became famous. He became a millionaire. And he got everything that life could give him. And he found that it tasted empty. He found that in spite of having everything, he found it all empty, that nothing was giving him satisfaction. Nothing seemed real, even though he was a multi-millionaire. He had fulfilled all his desires, all that his inner ego wanted. In the Bible, this inner feeling of emptiness is described as coming to himself. He came to himself. This inner feeling of, I will arise and go to my father, he says. I will arise and go to my father, not mother, father, to that father. Essence, I will arise and go to my father and say unto him, Father, I have missed the mark. Oh, I got everything in life. Everything that life could give me, I got it, but I missed the mark. I will tell my father, I missed the mark. We're not talking about earthly father and mother. And he arose and came to his father. Satvatam Kule Udeva. And his father rejoiced. His father was happy. And his father said, my son was dead and he has become alive again. When we move the attention inside, our whole inner world is dead. It just keeps on repeating. Nothing changes in the inner world. But when the attention moves in and we take this inner journey towards our essence, suddenly the inner world becomes more alive than the outside world. My son was dead, he has become alive again. His father came halfway to meet him. The journey is long. The journey is long. But if we can take a few steps, then grace comes to meet us. It is those few steps which we have to take inside. When we understand it intellectually, it seems so long, but when are we going to do all this? Everybody passes through this. But the father came halfway to meet him. Father rejoiced, my son is coming home. He's so happy. This is the law of grace. The law of magnetism. As we walk on the path, things change automatically. It gathers momentum. So even if we move halfway, the other halfway is done by that inner. It's automatically done. We have to only walk half the journey. It is said that when Buddha achieved enlightenment, flowers fell from the heavens. There's rejoicing. There's rejoicing. In some other dimension of time, there is rejoicing. My son was dead. He was hypnotized in this false personality of life, in the false things of life. He was dead, and now he is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found. He is now seeking the source, this son, from where he has come. He's going back into the source, turning inwards and each layer by layer. Tomorrow we write down the layers, each layer by layer. And suddenly he sees he was leading a life of falsity, insincerity, shallowness, all of the exterior he was living. And he's now leaving that and moving inward. As our attention moves inwards, we become more and more alive. Previously we were dead. His eyes have opened. This is Vivek, the power of discrimination. The inner eye has opened. Now we know what is false and what is true. We know that which is just there to hypnotize us, and we move away from that when we move inside. He has peeled off his clothes. He has taken off everything. The father says he is no longer lost. He has come home. But when he saw he was a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion and ran to welcome him. And he told his servants, prepare a big feast. This great way off. We don't have to walk so far, just a great way off. Halfway he has come. And he told his servants that prepare a big feast. And his elder son was working in the fields. And the elder son says, why are you doing this? So he says, my younger son, he was lost, he's come back home, and for him I'm preparing this feast. And the elder son feels jealous. The elder son gets angry. He's saying, I have been working for you all these years. And he went away and now he's come back and you're so happy. So you can see he was doing everything, feeding false personally. He was doing it for merit, for appreciation. So this is what is known by divine discontent. At one point we must realize, where are we going in life? I'm not saying become a hermit. Understand where we are going in life. Do we really want to walk back to where we came from? So he realized, even after all his success, he found that life was empty and did not give him what he wanted. So he must have another origin. He sets out to unlearn all that he falsely gathered from life, and this is a stripping process. It's a painful process. You have to drop it. When I went to my guru, the first thing he said, you forget meditation. Now I had a pride in my meditation. I used to meditate every day, and there was a pride in that meditation. And it had been going on for nearly 17 years. And suddenly he's telling me, you forget it, drop it. And we had this thing that we want to reach inside, and I made this effort for 17 years. And he's telling me it's all false, it has no meaning at all. It's very difficult, it's very painful. And in place of the meditation, he gives me a technique of breathing. And for a meditator, somebody gives him a technique of breathing, he is looking from the top and he's saying this, it has no meaning at all. It was very difficult. So you have to unlearn everything. Buddha says, Bhikshu, empty the boat. This unlearning process. Unlearning not knowledge. Unlearning all the rubbish we have gathered from life. All that is useless that we have gathered. To drop it. So he set out to unlearn all that the falsity that life had fashioned in him. Stripping off all his attitudes, vanity, illusions. So this is a parable about returning to one's origin, returning to one's essence. He discovered his essence and everything in life changes. He has risen through conscious effort. Risen through conscious. So the gopis are saying, Hey Sakhe, O friend, you are not the son of the Gopi, Yashoda. Now here we can take this meaning in another way also. Because here Gopi word used is plural. So you are not the son of all the Gopis. You are not the son of all the Gopis. So Gopi means the five senses. You are not that which is seen by the sensual mind. You are something totally different. You are that which dwells in the hearts of all embodied souls. Akhil Dehinam Antar Atma Druk. In all bodies, you are the inner witness. Vikhana, Brahmadev prayed. Arthito, so Arthito. Brahmadev prayed for you. That is why you came for Vishwagupta here. Why did you come? Vishwagupta here, to save the world, to unfold the secrets of the world. And you were born in this Satvatam Kule Udevan. In this Kule. Now, Kule is the inner sanskars, the inner essence. The inner essence has changed. The whole grouping of all the sanskars. Kule means a group, piling up. So, in this whole inner memory patterns which we have, yours are which quality? Satvatam Kule, of the essence. They were not of the personality and false personality. They were of different quality. So, oh friend, you are this, the gopis are telling Krishna. Tomorrow we will take this part, Akhil Dehinam Antaratma. What it means to be a witness. How do we move on this path of witnessing, observing the inner and living in the outer at the same time? It's a very deep slope, this one. The gopis, in the cover of love, the gopis are giving the highest knowledge to us. So I'll stop over here. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Good night. Jai Shri Krishna. We're still on the fourth sloka. Hey Sakhe. So we took Sakhe as a friend. Two presences. To explain this, there's a beautiful work of art canvas by Velasquez. And Velasquez, it's in the National Gallery in London. Velasquez has painted Venus in her bathroom. And Venus is looking in the mirror. And the mirror is held by her son, Cupid. And she's looking in the mirror, and the reflection in the mirror is not looking at Venus. When we look in the mirror, the reflection looks at us. But the reflection in the mirror is not looking at Venus, it is looking at us. The one who is seeing the painting, seeing the artwork. So, the spirit looks into the mirror of the mind. And the reflection is the soul. The soul looks not back at the spirit, it looks at the world outside. It has to form a personality. And then it is only interested in looking outside. But a time comes when we go back to our essence and the soul again looks at the spirit. The reflection is looking at at Venus again. So, He Sakhe, two presences. At present, our soul is not a presence. It's got identified in life. It's hypnotized by life. And it is this awakening that we have to work for. So the gopis are saying, Hey Sakhe, oh friend, Bhavan na khalu gopika nandana. Kharekar, indeed, definitely. They are putting emphasis over it. Definitely, you are not the son of the Gopika Yashoda. And if we have to take this in plural, it will mean you are not the son of all the gopis. That you are not the image which the five senses produce. Akhila Dehinam Antar Atma Dhruv. In the hearts of embodied souls, you are the indwelling witness. Druk, this word, the seeing energy. The seeing energy takes on a form, a body. When it takes on a body, we call it Dehi. Now, the word Dehi has been interpreted as body wherever we see it. But when we go deeper into the word, it means that which is anointed. The mummies in Egypt were anointed. So that which was an essence is anointed. It is anointed by a personality. So the normal meaning would mean just a body, Dehi, the one who occupies a body, but the one who has been anointed, the one who has a personality. So Akhila Dehinam Antaratma Dhruva. You are that seeing energy. There are two energies, Druk Shakti or Drak Shakti and Darshan Shakti. Drak, the energy that sees, and Darshan, the energy that allows to be seen. The whole play of life is the play of these two energies, the seeing energy and the seen energy. But these two energies, they intermingle with each other. And when they intermingle with each other, a reflection is produced, something false is produced. This is the ego. Druk, Darshan Shakti Ekatmateva Aspita. Ekatmateva Aspita. Patanjali says, when these two energies, they become identified with each other. Ekatma. When they become identified with each other, the result is the Asmita, the I consciousness. It is, the whole journey is nothing but the dissolving of the I consciousness. And that is separation of these two energies, the seeing energy and the seen energy. Druk Shakti, Darshan Shakti. Akhil. Khilam. Avashishta Yasya. Khilam means that which is left behind. Khilam means that session. Each moment we leave behind something. They are calling him Akhil. They are calling him Akhil. You do not leave, you live each moment totally. Nothing is left. Khila means a barren land, something that is left behind. So they are saying you live each moment in its totality, nothing is left behind. Vikhana. Vikhana means Brahma, the energy which expands, the energy which creates, the creative energy. Khana means to divide. So, when we divide our attention, the energy, then something is created inside. And what is created inside? Presence is created inside. The seeing energy separates from the seen energy. So, Arthita, prayed for, by effort, by making an effort, we can divide our attention. And what is the result? Vishwaguptaye. You have come for the purpose of saving the world. Vishwaguptaye. But Gupta means the mystery. We learn the mystery of life. And the mystery of life is the play of these two energies. The seeing energy and the seen energy. Satvatam Kule, you have been born in the Satvatam. Now, normal meaning of Satvat would be a gentleman. So you have been born in a gentleman's Kule, in a gentleman's house, in a gentleman's caste. But Kule would be the accumulation of our sanskars, our unconscious mind, the accumulation of all the patterns we have gathered, all the experiences that the soul has gathered. That is the Kula. So they are saying your experiences are Satvat, not of this time. They are of some other time. They are of some Satvat time, of the fifth dimension of time, not of the fourth dimension of time. Udeva, your energies are rising. Autaryacho Udevan means you have come down, you have appeared. Now let us talk about these two energies. There are two sides to us. The mechanical side and the conscious side. At present, the mechanical side is very, very powerful. The conscious side is very weak sometimes. There's a little bit of consciousness. My teacher used to say that when we walk on the path, we have to form a new ego. The life ego does not work. We have to make a new ego. And that ego is needed for the path. It decides what to do on the path. It is needed up to a certain point to walk on the path. How are we going to walk? What techniques are we going to use? When are we going to get up in the morning? Who is going to say no to the late night movies? All this, a new ego is needed inside. So we have two egos, the ego of life and the ego of sadhana. And to start our sadhana, we have to create this new ego. So he said there are two centers around these two egos. One is the attachment center, which gets attached to life. And one is the detachment center, which wants to separate from life. And this is the new ego. In the Mahabharata, this new ego is known as Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu. Manyu means the highest. Abhiman of the highest. Pride of the highest. And he is needed. He served a special purpose. In one day of the war, in just one day of the war, he defeated 25% of the warriors on the Kaurav side. No other warrior was able to do this. He was the son of Chandra, and Chandra said, I'll send my son to fight in the war, but on one condition. I'll let him come to the earth as Abhimanyu, but on one condition, that he comes back to me very early. So he had to die when he was 16 years old. So we need a new ego in sadhana, that is Abhimanyu. We create it inside. But at a certain point, that ego has to die. Otherwise, it will become a life ego. As we practice observing ourselves, a certain criticism will develop for people who are not observing themselves. Suddenly we'll see that we can be free of anger, but somebody else cannot be free of anger. And maybe we will see that we will be able to observe our own self-love. Maybe not. And when we can observe our own self-love, we can see others' self-love very clearly. It's automatic. It's a two-way game. And suddenly you will see that somebody is giving a lecture to 1,000 people, but he is not free of self-love. And criticism will come in. So a point will come in our sadhana where we will start criticizing people. We cannot help it. This is the pattern inside. We have been living this pattern for thousands of years. And that is the time when Abhimanyu has to go now. At the pride of sadhana. Now we have learned to separate ourselves. Now that ego is not needed any longer. But till we reach that state where we see our inner psychic structure, and because of that we can read other people's psychic structure, till then that ego is needed. Then the time comes for it to go. So, all sadhana is a result of uncritical self-observation. Whether it is bhakti, whether it is jnana, whether it is any path. In all the paths, we have to divide into two, the bhakt and the bhagwan, the observer and the observed. It has to be divided. When we do bhakti, we are not dividing into two. We have some imagination of some statue to whom we are doing bhakti to. It is not our inner consciousness divided into two, the God and the bhakta. We may experience certain moments where the mind becomes calm and we experience a certain kind of samadhi, sur samadhi, like the musicians experience. That may not change our psychic structure. That may not change, it may give us a glimpse of something higher. But it will not change the way we live our daily lives. And sometimes if we see musicians who experience this samadhi so often, they are the most angry people. So all sadhana is nothing but self-observation, dividing ourselves into two, the observed side, the observing side. Patanjali starts his Yoga Sutra with the first sutra, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Atha means from now. Yoga Anushasanam. From today, from this day, from this moment, I make a promise that I will follow the Anushasana. Anu means to follow. Shasan means a discipline. Shasyate iti shasanam. To follow a discipline. There are two kinds of discipline. One which is given to us and one which we create within us. One which we educate ourselves. But Patanjali is talking about a specific discipline. That from this day I promise to follow the discipline of yoga. Today we follow the discipline of life. There is no discipline in our life. Actually there is chaos in our life. There is no Anushasana in our life, there is Dushasana in our life. All the thoughts, all the feelings, everything is in a chaos, Dushasana in our life. So he says from this day, we decide, we make a promise to follow the discipline, what yoga lays down. And yoga says that this has to be done. And I promise to follow that discipline. Now I make a promise that I will not express my negative emotions. That is the first step. That I will not express my negativity. It may come to here, but I'll stop it over here. I'll make a conscious effort to work on my negativity. And this is the first step. So Patanjali says, Atha Yoga Anushasanam Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. What is yoga? Yoga is nirodha, stopping of the vrittis of the mind. What are vrittis? We'll talk on some other day. What I'm trying to say is the next sutra he goes to, Tada Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam. Then the seeing energy is in its own avastha. Tada Drashtuhu. Drashtuhu. We have 5 senses. But he's talking about another sense, an extra sense. A sense which is seeing what the other senses are seeing. A sense which is seeing the reactions which come from what the other senses are seeing. This is the drashtuhu, the seeing consciousness. You have to awaken the seeing consciousness. So he says, Tada drashtuhu swarupe is now in its own avastha. That seeing consciousness is in its own avastha, and that avastha starts rising. Swarupe avasthanam, one avastha after the other. But when it is not in its own state of seeing, where is it? Then in the next sutra he says, Vritti sarupyam itaratra. When it is not in its own state, where is it? It has identified with All these vrittis, sarupyam, sarup, roop means shape, roop means form. It has taken the form of the vrittis. Where is my seeing consciousness? It has taken the form of the vrittis. I say, I am angry. The I and anger have become one. It has taken the form of the vritti. So, the first act, there must be an inner separation. We must separate from ourselves. That is, we give the self, a higher self with a big S, a lower self, our lower psychic nature, our reactions to life. These are two selves. This is a division which we will create within ourselves. This is the first time I am talking about this on a public platform. So it is very difficult for me also, because till now I have always talked about this in camps. Whenever I have been talking at a public forum like this, I never talk about self-observation. I try to avoid it as much as possible. So it's a very, very serious topic. Very serious topic. Now, before we go into the very act of self-observing, we must understand this word sarupyam, to become that. It has taken the shape of the vritti. What has taken the shape? The seeing consciousness has taken the shape of the seeing consciousness. We will use a word identification and identify. It identifies. In Gurdjieff's workhouse, where he had all these sayings written on the wall, one of the sayings was, identification is the only sin. To be hypnotized by life is the only sin. Identification is the only sin. It is the most terrible force on the planet. It keeps us all asleep and we still think that we are awake. This is the biggest illusion we live. We are all living in a dream world, in sleep, in hypnosis. From 0 to 70, we live a life in hypnosis. Not for a single moment do we realize that we are asleep. Identification. It prevents us from waking up because there is imagination, and we create an imagination that we are awake. We live this illusion. We are identified, we hypnotized, but I won't use the word hypnotized, I'll use the word identified with every thought, every feeling, every event that happens in our life. We are identified. There is no separation between the seeing consciousness and the seen consciousness. We are in a prison. And we come to terms with our prison. And in our prison, we do everything. From feeling sad to enjoying life, everything. And we don't realize that we are in a prison. It's prison of identification. If there's a little inner stirring, then we will ask, how do we escape from this prison? Is there a way out of this prison? Very few people wish to escape from the prison. They're so happy where they are. There's no inner discontent which tells them that I want to break these walls. The soul says in Arvind's famous poetic of Savitri, I will break these walls, Shivoham, Shivoham. So he's crying, Satyavan is crying, I break these walls, Shivoham, Shivoham. We must feel there is something different to life. Not the normal life that we are living. And please understand that the effort which we make in sadhana does not yield worldly results. It has nothing to do with the effort. It is not needed to live our life. Sadhana is not needed to live. It's a luxury. It's not needed. There's no need to wake up from the life. All of us can sleep. Right? But this is an extra effort which has to be above all our life efforts. We have to find the time We have to find the energy, we have to find the force to make that extra effort. And the greatest work, the most work that has to be done is with our unnecessary emotions and negative emotions. Our emotional center is full of acquired emotions. Using the word acquired because when we are born, we don't have all this. They are acquired from life. All the negativities are acquired from life. A child does not come with negativity. He comes with a structure which has a possibility of acquiring more or less negativity. But at that time there is no negativity. So he gets this by imitating life, by imitating people. He sees the mother getting angry on the father. Now he knows what anger is. He imitates. Then he'll get angry on the mother. Our essence is innocent. In a way, that essence is awake, but it does not have wisdom, it has ignorance. And we want to reach a state where we are awake with wisdom. So there is an innocence, but it is a childish innocence. We bring that innocence back with wisdom. But slowly the essence is surrounded, like we saw yesterday, by a personality, and then it is surrounded by a false personality, and we become totally invented people. Lepayan, Dehi. This is the meaning of the word Dehi. We are now anointed. We are occupying the body, but we are anointed. And nature does not want to help us to wake up. Nature has no part in the game. Nature wants to keep us asleep because she wants us to give out negative energy. She wants us to become angry. She wants us to become jealous. So the minute we become jealous, we are throwing out good energy which nature takes for her own purpose. So nature is not going to help us. Some other grace has to help us. Something coming from the higher has to help us. And for that to help us, we have to walk a little. And a time comes when we are identified with everything in life. Each one of us is identified with 101 unnecessary emotions. 101. And it starts with the doing energy. Kuru Vruddha Pitamaha. Kuru Vruddha, the doer, who keeps on doing. He can't stop this doing for a single moment. That is why we call him Bhishma. It starts with that. Bhi means to frighten. To frighten. At some point between the soul and the creation of the ego, we were born, the influences came through the five senses, they were all enjoyed by the soul. At a certain point, the ego was created. And the ego put the soul to sleep. It frightened the soul. It told him, shut up, you go to sleep. Don't wake up again. And that is why we give it the name Bhishma, the one who frightened the soul into going to sleep. Bhishma. Drona. The habit mechanism. We are a bundle of habits. We are a bundle of habits. In the intellectual center, we are a bundle of habits. In the emotional center, we are a bundle of habits. In our instinctive center, in our moving center, in all the centers, we are a bundle of habits. These habits are created through repetition. Acharan, Dronacharya. Dra means the child came with a liquid substance which could be molded into anything, and through acharan, through repetition, it was molded into all these habits, and that habit mechanism has to be killed. Can you see that we are not one person? When we observe inside, we will come to a state where we realize that we are not one person. I'm going to take it in the next few days. The doctrine of many eyes. We are not one person, but none of us, we are all sitting over here. Not one of us will feel that it's a crowd sitting over here. Each person is a crowd. The feeling you have, I am the same person. Because everybody has only one mouth to speak. But there are 100 people inside and they all have one mouth to speak, so all sign the check in the same name. Yeah, and one gives the loan and the other cries for the loan. This is the story of our life. Because the sign on the check is the same. One mouth, one telephone. Or just imagine all of us in the room and there's just one telephone in the room. And everybody has to use that telephone. There are thousands of people living in us. We are not one person. But we'll only know that when the attention goes in and suddenly we'll see, we are Bhishma also, we are Dronacharya also, we are Karna also, we are that person who is just ears. Somebody says something and we get upset. Somebody's talking in the corner, we feel he's talking about us. What did he say about me? Karna. Rag, attachment. All these people are lying within us. And within us also is the one which wants to be free of this. That is called Arjuna. And we will call that as the observing eye. So inside we are many people, but there is one person who wants to be free of all this and who has the right knowledge. He has a source of right knowledge. And that source of right knowledge is Krishna. It comes from a certain source. And he gives him the knowledge and he works to be free of this identification of life. Can we see our moods just before they come? Just before they come. A mood is coming. A black cloud is coming. The sky is going to be, it's just here, the sky is still clear. But the mood, the black cloud is coming. Can we see it inside? It's the same thing. It's the same psychological country inside. But we are so hypnotized by life. So identified. So in self-observation, we slowly separate ourselves from all these layers that we have within us. Unnecessary forms of thoughts, moods, feelings, states. We gradually awaken from all that. And once we go inside, we will see that we are not one person, we are many people at the same time. And this is a daily struggle. It is not something which we do for 5 minutes in the morning. You sit in meditation for 5 minutes in the morning and the rest of the day do what you want. It's moment to moment. Every moment we are struggling inside to be free of this identification. Even now, you're sitting here. If the effort is going on, then the observing consciousness is trying to be free. Then Arjuna is there within us. But if you are not making an effort, it is not where we are, what we are doing. Whether at that moment in time we are making an effort. This effort Patanjali calls as yatna. Tatra sthito yatna abhyasa. All these Kauravas and Yadavas, they were born out of one common ancestor. His name was Yayati. Beautiful story of Yayati. Yayati means the effort which is made. Yayati. It is out of them that they were born. So it is a daily struggle. This struggle is not a struggle. It is called as tapa. This struggle which we do to be free is austerity, tapa. There is no exact English word for tapa. Every moment the dice is thrown. Every moment nature is there to steal our energy. Every moment she is going to throw the dice. And are we awake enough to see what she is throwing? How she is trying to trap us? How she is trying to hypnotize us into life, lead us into identification, and how we want to be free. And once we start observing, we will see that the highest hypnosis, the deepest identification is when we are negative. Negative moods, negative thoughts, negative states. They draw energy, they lower our consciousness. And all self-emotions are form of identifying. Now people come to me and they say, what about positive emotions? We don't have a single positive emotion. A positive emotion is one which has no opposite. Has no opposite. But my positive emotion is, I am feeling very good. Today is very good. This evening there was a beautiful sunset, the colors in the sky. I am feeling so good and so nice. And somebody just comes and says, the door to your house was broken and robbers entered. My good feeling was gone. Right? A positive emotion cannot change to negative. It stands on its own. It has no opposite. All our emotions have opposites. And it is these opposites that we want to be free of, which we are working to be free of. So we can't talk about positive emotions. When I read papers and magazines, everybody is talking about positive thinking. And they don't understand that every positive thought has a negative inside. It just takes time for the positive to become negative. The whole journey is to be free of this pendulum movement. And then, when you are free of it, the emotion which comes inside, nothing changes that emotion. It is positive. Lagani mati bhav utpanna karo. Bhav never changes. That is why the bhakt has bhav. The intensity of the bhav changes. In English we have only one word, emotion. We have to say lower emotion and higher emotion. It's difficult. But here in Gujarati we have two words, Lagni and Bhav. Lagni lower, Bhav higher. You praise me, then my Lagni for you will go up. But if you criticize me, it will go down. Your share value goes down. But in Bhav, if I am in a state of Bhav, whether you praise me or you criticize me, nothing changes. My feeling for you does not change. The lower emotion has been transformed. When we are observing, we must realize that this is, like I said, an extra effort. The same thing in life can be done mechanically. It has nothing to do with life. Maybe we'll do it better mechanically. More profit. Right? The balance sheet will look better. So, it has nothing to do with life. We are just doing the same thing and we are trying to free ourselves from the identification. And awakening will start happening in stages. Slowly we will reach a point of awakening. See, I'm talking about this, but this has to be understood, re-understood. It takes years of hard work to really understand this. So it's not something which I can just dish out. See, try to understand this word identification. Each one of us has a role to play in life. We play a role in life. But we forget that we are playing a role, we become the role. Just imagine if an actor, he's playing the role of a king and he forgets that he's on the sets and he goes into the roles and he thinks he's still on the sets. He's the king and he goes to a shop and he commands somebody to give him something. There was that very famous movie, Anne of the Thousand Days. Richard Burton acted as King Henry, and he writes in his memoirs that after the movie got over, when it was over, the movie was finished, for 3 months I could not get out of Henry VIII. I used to eat my breakfast and have coffee in the morning and I thought the king was having coffee. He couldn't leave the role. This is what happens to us. All of us have a personality, but the skin is so tight-fitting that we take it to be ourselves. We forget that we are playing a role in life. It is this separation that has to be done. And this separation is painful. We have to strip two pieces of wood which have stuck together. And slowly we take them apart. So these ideas I'll keep on repeating because we have to understand again and keep on understanding these ideas. They are not my ideas. I have used them in a certain way, so maybe I have a right to talk about them. But they are not my ideas. They have come from a source. And it is that source which through me is speaking to you. I don't own them. It's the way, if you understand these ideas, they are yours. That's it. There is no, what you call, copyright over here. That is why all the articles I write, I put up on the net free of charge. No copyright. Because they don't belong to me. They don't belong to me. So, we have a role to play in life, only we become the role. This is identification. We become something that is not us. Something that is foreign to us. And we don't realize it. Consciousness is the beginning of awakening from this. Now we have a very strong mechanical side and a very weak conscious side. And it is the conscious side which we want to make powerful. Now, just see this in the universal aspect, as a universal plate. Just a small thing that he and I are having a fight. A small thing, right? We are quarreling with each other. And suddenly I see the negativity, how the negativity is hypnotizing me. And I pull my consciousness out of that negativity. I separate from it. I am free from it for that. Even for that momentary pause, I am free from it. What has happened to the universal pool? There are two forces in life, the conscious force and the mechanical force. In that very act of my trying to be free, in trying to wake up from this negativity, this dark cloud which is trying to carry me away, I have added a drop to the conscious pool of life, the universal pool. The universal pool of consciousness will become greater. It has an effect. It has an effect. Just this one act of ours changes everything in the universe. It will have an effect on the crimes and everything. But I read in the newspaper that somebody has murdered somebody. And I say, these police are useless and this is useless, and I keep on giving out negativity and I'm hypnotized by that state. Then in that I feel that I'm very good, I'm a very good person and I'm fighting against crime and all that, but actually I'm adding to the universal pool of mechanical force. So it is not just an individual journey. Thank you. My guru used to, when the tea would come in the lecture, he would say, with your permission. So this, the whole journey is individual also, it is universal also. It's a continuous inner struggle. These two pools, in every religion they are given a name. the Christ consciousness and the devil consciousness, and what are they given a name? But it is these two pools of force in the universe, the mechanical side and the conscious side. Whatever we do mechanically is lost forever. Whatever we do consciously is never lost. In this one moment I am conscious, I am rising in time. If supposing the rest of my life I don't bother about being conscious again, which I hope not, but I don't bother about being conscious again. When this line of time I repeat, when this conscious moment had touched this other line of time, when I come to meet it, maybe in some other life, in some other form, I don't know. But when it touches, at that point, something will happen in my life. Some teaching will come to meet me. Some conscious awakening will come. Some inner spirit will say, I want to be free of this jail. So, we are identified with life. We are playing a role in life. If we are mechanical, the role plays us, and if we are conscious, we play the role. Now we must understand that we are living in two worlds at the same time. The events of life and our mechanical reactions to it. These two worlds are going on simultaneously. The same event, everybody can have different reactions to the same event. Could be anything. It's a rainy day, but everybody can have different inner reactions, and all of them can be mechanical. So the event is always neutral. The event is always neutral. And life is a continuous process of events. Different troubles, different complexities. We call all this events. We have to now start working on how we react to these events. It is these reactions which we are going to work on. And from that we are going to get our consciousness out. At present we are reacting totally mechanically. Some people come and they ask, what is my role in life? At present, in our mechanical state, whatever comes to us in the form of an event is our role in life. A time comes. I'll talk where there are 3 lines of work. 3 lines of work. Work on self, work for others, and work for the work. Work for the teaching. 3 lines of work. So our roles change. As we work on ourselves, as our sadhana of self changes, our roles change. As we work on ourselves, we start separating ourselves from the identified side, from the mechanical side. We reach a certain level of consciousness, automatically our role will change where we will start helping others. It's automatic. We start sharing the same thing. Reach a little different level, then we can work for the teaching itself. So these are different levels, but at present what is our role in life? Whatever we are doing is our role in life. We don't have to change anything. Ramdulare Bapu had a saying, Prani matra sadhak hai, har paristhiti sadhana hai. Man is just a seeker, and every event which comes in front of him, every paristhiti, every situation which comes in front of him is an opportunity for sadhana. Now, self-observation is not merely noticing. I tell somebody, you're angry, and he says, I know I'm angry. I'm bored, but I know I'm bored. This is not self-observation. Knowing that you are angry is not self-observation. There must be a separation from the anger. So many people think they are observing themselves. The second thing, there is a difference between outward observation and inner observation. On TV there are good, people who make us laugh. Comedians. They have observed life in such great detail. So beautifully they have observed life. That does not mean they are very good at inner observation. Their inner life may be totally mechanical. So outer observation does not guarantee inner observation. Science does outer observation. Science keeps moving into the physical world, deeper and deeper into the physical world, creating different instruments which can magnify the the strength of the senses, and going deeper into the physical world. It wants to conquer nature, know the secret of nature. We go deeper into the inner world. Like science wants to conquer nature, we want to conquer self. We want to know the mystery of self. So it is inner observation, it's not outer observation. So just saying that I know that I am bored or I know that I am depressed does not mean anything. We must establish something within us which is observing everything else. And that something within us is an observing eye. It is not identified with that which it observes. If I say I am angry, then I am not observing my anger. Even though I know that I am angry, I am not observing my anger. Because the I is angry. The I is angry. So I may say I am in a bad mood, I am jealous, I am envious, whatever, I am unwell, then I am identified with my sickness. We become that state. I have become the anger. The I and the anger have become one. Vritti sarupyam. That when it is not observing what is it doing, it has become that vritti. It has taken the form, taken the shape. For years, Krishnamurti lectured all over the world. The observer is the observed. He kept on saying these words. So when we say I am angry, I am standing in the mud. I am not separate from the mud and looking at the person in the mud. These two poles we create within us. There must be a part of me which does not feel the anger. A separate part of me which totally does not feel the anger. And it is this separation that we are working for. We take everything as us. It is my thought. It is my emotion. We don't realize that thoughts come from somewhere else and we become the thought. We've forgotten that completely. No thoughts are our thoughts. No thoughts are our thoughts. They come from somewhere and we become the thought. There's a whole process where the thought comes, it will come to our house and we'll open the door and make him sit on the sofa. And if we can stand at the door and watch the thought passing by. This separation, that a part of me is not a part of the anger, is the beginning of freedom. And for that, we have to divide it into it and I. And we have to keep on practicing this. It is angry, I am watching. It is hungry, I am watching. It is sad, I am watching. It is feeling depressed because somebody has died, I am watching. It is feeling irritated because there's too much traffic, but I am watching. This separation. To keep on practicing this separation of I and it. I found it very, very difficult in the beginning. Very, very difficult. So then I used to make my own practices because the guru just gives you one word and that's the end of it, and he feels that we should know everything. Right? Gurus love also, but their love is a very... So I learned one thing inside, where I used to change, because when we are sitting alone, we are talking inside. And there are no events of life happening. And we are wasting all this time. So I learned one method inside where I would change my inner talking from a monologue to a dialogue. And it is something which I still practice till today. I keep on practicing. Because that is one thing that guarantees that we don't fall again. It's not something that you achieve, you can fall again. So it is, it's one thing, and I keep on practicing this. If I say I am having a bath, I'll stop over there, I'll go back in my thoughts and say, Rajan is having a bath, I am watching. So I'm drinking tea, say Rajan is drinking tea, I am watching. And there can be instances when we are very identified. Somebody has hurt us a little. And we are talking about that person in some way inside. And then I ask myself the question, whom are you talking about? Go back through all those thoughts, go back and separate them from I and it. This process of going back, Patanjali calls as pratiprasa, to go back. And we can keep on going back because we are always talking inside. So if I'm asking, will the stock market go up today? Then I go back. I say, Rajan is asking whether the stock market will go up today. I go back. And there's a division inside. And suddenly this division becomes more powerful. That I and it, yeah.
What happens when you say, like you say, someone is the observer? So if you're saying, I'm irritated, but I'm irritated, but you'll say, Sharimala is irritated and I am watching.
Yeah.
Then what's the next step from there? What do you do then? Because now it's difficult to change that irritation. So what?
The very watching changes it. The very watching changes. The very watching changes. I'm going to take all those Patanjali sutras where he goes through this process. You see, if I just go back in my thoughts, the very going back creates a separation. Okay? The very going back creates the separation. It creates a big separation inside. Just moving back, making every monologue into a dialogue. Every monologue into a dialogue.
It's also a little bit like being conscious.
Being conscious. Very conscious. You eat an apple, you're very hungry, you stop. And you go back. And you were saying all this, I'm feeling hungry. He was feeling hungry. Rajan was feeling hungry. I am watching. Suddenly there is a separation. And then the intensity of the hunger calms down. The very irritation by just doing that will, lose half its. Then it's very easy to watch. Very, very easy to watch. And this process we have to go through. And people think that the bhakts did not go through this process. But they divided it into the watcher was Bhagwan and the one going through it was the Bhakta. So there are two consciousnesses now. The sensing consciousness and the feeling consciousness. The sensing consciousness senses life and the feeling consciousness feels the I which is watching life. And this takes a very long, period for this to separate. At present, the sensing consciousness and the feeling consciousness are intermingled. They're sankirna. What Patanjali uses the word mixed up. So they move together. That is why he uses the same word for ego and the same word for samadhi, asmita. So Asmita as ego is there both together. Then slowly we make a separation. I sense this, but I feel myself. I sense this and I feel myself. Somebody insults me. I sense the insult, but I feel myself. I'm separating both. So then the feeling consciousness slowly moves away from the sensing consciousness. And when it is feeling self, it is the same Asmita, but now it is a Samadhi. There it was ego. Same feeling consciousness. So the outer fact can be common to all of us, but each one of us may be practicing in a different way inside. But our insight is not very good. You have to develop that insight. Science has a very good outside. What does this mean? What does it mean? What does it boil down to? This observing eye and separation of the feeling consciousness. What does it mean? So you're sitting over here. What does it mean? What will it mean? We're sitting over here. There's a feeling of I sitting. The feeling of sitting is the sensual consciousness. The feeling of I is the feeling consciousness. Feeling of I sitting. Then you will get up from here. There will be a feeling of I getting up. The feeling of sitting is different. The feeling of getting up is different. Feeling of I is the same. The feeling of I will be same. It will not change. If the feeling of I changes, then the I is still hypnotized, identified. A point will come where we are doing everything and there is a totally separate feeling of I. What is our feeling of I now? What is our feeling? When you meet your son, what is the feeling of I? When you go to meet your mother-in-law, what is the feeling of I? When you're stuck in traffic, what is the feeling of I? When you hear some shocking news, what is the feeling of I? When you've lost in business, what is the feeling of I? All these are events in life. And a point will come where all these will have different sensitivities at the sensual level, but the feeling of I and all of them will be the same. That is, we have separated from that. There is a different feeling of I. And we are going to go into this feeling of I in the next few days. Deep into this feeling of I. What it means to feel I. Just now we don't feel I. We feel the tea is good or bad. We don't feel I. And that person who is drinking the tea, there is no feeling of that person. There is a feeling of that person if his name comes in the papers or something. Or somebody praises him or something. There's no feeling of I separate from this. And it is this feeling which we have to develop. And it will come through separation. So at present we are just registering the external scene. We are registering the external scene. Our feeling is mixed up in the external scene. And slowly we separate it. It's like you have a glass of water. The water takes the shape of the glass. The water can never become the glass. The real I can never become the anger. But the real I has forgotten its own feeling and taken the feeling of anger. The water has forgotten its own feeling and taken the feeling of the glass. The real can never become the false. It's not possible. It is still there within us, the real. Only it has exchanged its feeling for something else. It is sarupyam, taken the form of, taken the shape of. The water has taken the shape of the glass. In that the feelings got exchanged. All we have to do is bring back the feeling of I. We have to separate it from each incident in life. Supposing we go on a bus tour, we're going on by bus somewhere, and we are sitting near the window in the bus. Have we observed what we are thinking inside? Have we observed what we are thinking inside? Or some good songs are going on the radio. Have we observed what we are thinking inside? Supposing we are going on a bus, right? So, supposing I'm sitting in the bus and from here I go round to the sea, this way and that way, and this beach and this beach, right? And I'm looking out of the bus window and I say, oh, this one has a beautiful house here, and maybe one day I'll have a beautiful house here. So, the I is attached to that beautiful house. But then I go ahead and then I see another beautiful house and I forget that beautiful house. Right? And then I say maybe over here. And this is, so there is a feeling of attachment, but slowly it stops over there, it gets attached to something else. Then there's a small feeling of attachment, right? And the pictures pass by. The pictures pass by. We don't become completely hypnotized. We've forgotten. I don't remember yesterday which house I wanted to build or which seaside resort or whatever. It's gone. It was in the bus. It doesn't stick with me. There is a kind of passing consciousness. It gets a little attached and then moves away. Then it gets a little attached and then it moves away. Similarly, when we are listening to songs, I may feel I'm singing in front of 100 people. What's the difference between daydreaming and night dreaming? What's the difference between daydreaming and night dreaming? If I'm singing in front of 100 people in the daydream, then they're all clapping. Yeah, but if I'm singing in my real night dream, then they're all throwing shoes at me. So, it is this kind of consciousness which we want to each reaction in life. Can you see? We are sitting in the bus. I got angry, little, it went away. Then I got a little jealous, it came, it went away. And the sensual feeling, there is a sensual feeling that she has something better than me. And there's that slight anger, it's just passing by on the bus, it goes away. The feeling of me sitting in the bus is totally different. This is where we want to go. But at present we become that. We've forgotten that we are sitting in the bus. And it is this panorama of life which goes on. We enjoy it also for that moment. We become it for that moment. And this seeing consciousness is totally separate. And it moves on. Event by event, and nothing remains by. We don't remember. Yesterday we went to the bus during this period, where we had what is gone. It's over. That kind of inner change will come. At present, we don't even bypass the anger; it remains with us. And when the husband goes in the morning or the wife goes in the morning, they separate angrily. And when they come back home in the evening, both their faces are drawn up like this. Right? No passing consciousness. So, we get identified with everything we see. So, the basic thing in self-observation is we divide ourselves into two parts. And when we divide ourselves into two parts, suddenly we become aware of a totally new world within us. This is a big psychological world. It has everything. It has good rooms, it has bad rooms, it has gutters, it has everything. And we become aware of all that which is within us. And then we try to separate from that. It is this journey. So the gopis are telling him, okay, you are the inner seeing energy which is in every embodied soul. You are that seeing energy. That seeing energy is Krishna. And that seeing energy is in each one of us, only we have lost it somewhere. Krishna cannot change, but the feeling of Krishna has been exchanged for the feeling of everything useless. That is what we want to get back. Two feelings, the feeling of anger and the feeling of I watching anger. Two feelings, two separate feelings. These two feelings are mixed up just now. The feeling of water and the feeling of glass as separate from water. Two separate feelings. And that is why this rhythmic breathing is so important. Because as we play the music the whole day and we breathe with the rhythm, we divide ourselves into two parts. One which is concentrating on the music and one which is breathing in rhythm. Two parts we divide ourselves into. It's very difficult to hold our attention in two parts. If we practice, it remains for a few seconds and it goes away. But if we practice with the breathing, and I didn't understand this because 17 years of meditation and my guru said, hey, you drop everything and do the breathing. But then it came after a few years that what I could not get in 17 years of meditation, with a few years of breathing with rhythm, that division came. The division of attention. One arrow of attention inside. The breath goes in, attention goes in. The breath goes out, attention goes out. This play of attention and the play of breath. I see you, at the same time I see inside what I am thinking of you. And it is this seeing energy. You are that inner witness. You are that inner seeing energy in every soul. Every soul, you are that seeing energy. Because if we can experience that seeing energy, then we experience the Krishna within us. So the gopis are saying, you are that Akhila Dehi Nam Antaratma Druka. You are that seeing energy in everyone's heart, in everyone's soul. You are prayed for by Brahma. You are prayed for by Brahma. This is real creativity, expansion of consciousness. Brahma means expansion of consciousness. And we are praying for this state. Why? Vishwagupta, to realize the secret of life, the Gupta, the mystery of life, to realize the mystery of life. And in that, we will rise in another dimension of time. Satvatam Kule, Udeva. Hey Sakhe. So we'll stop here. So, if there are any questions, anyone can.